Okay, all right. Yes, guys. So December 11th, 2025, 20 days away from the end of the year and even less days until Christmas. All right, DVSA changes could reshape your 26 driving test. It is going to reshape your DVSA driving test. We'll talk about what they are trialing at the moment and how that changes the actual test itself. Okay, so DVSA trial changes are underway. They've already started trialing changes and we'll talk about them. How do these affect the learners and the instructors? What to expect in 2026 and how do you prepare? What can you do? So who thinks what they know what they can do? Okay, so there's a new readiness check. I'm talking about a readiness check, that the instructors, certain instructors can be appointed to do readiness checks. And it's really simple because there's a grading in the instructors. The instructors are graded from A, B, C. There are A, B, and C instructors. So there are a certain number of instructors who are on A grades. What they should do is the A grade instructors, they should actually get the A grade instructors to be readiness test checkers. That way they know then they are going to get about a 30% reduction in the number of tests they have to do. And that will be really good because if they do get that 30% reduction in the number of tests they have to do, then that will immediately release much more, make tests much more available and will bring down the cost of the tests as well. Reduced tolerance for speculative bookings. These are from the focus on eliminated wasted test slots. Well, if they just focus on that, how are they going to change it? Oh yeah, we are looking at the test slots that are being a thing. I'm focusing on that now. Well, how do you focus on it? I don't know what they want to do there. Trials, modified test read structures. This is real. I'm going to talk about that. There are two things that they have been in some of the test centers. Greater emphasis on genuine competence. How can you be more competent? That's the question. How can you be more competent? You can tell me how you can increase your competence without significant increases in your costs. I had a first time pass, 0 minors this week. How do you like that? First time pass, 0 minors, 0, nothing, not one single minor. Examiner got out the car and said to me, I have never in my life seen such a perfect driving test. This was actually a 5-star driving test. Examiner said 5-star driving test. Come on guys, how can you increase your competence? Where can you practice and make sure you understand what's going to happen in the driving test? You're right with more practice, but where would that good practice really be? Okay guys, yeah, so I just want to make a point here, but it's, you know, I keep telling people this academy is for free. It is for you people who are part of our clients. Go there and look at what you want and need to study. It is so important. I'll do a little bit of a review of it at the end of the lesson tonight and just get it. We need some beta testers as well, so anybody who signs up for beta testing for us, please, if you haven't already signed up, please sign up. We are going to do some beta testing as well. So beta testing just means that you use the academy and then you just give us comments according to what you found was wrong or what you found was not useful or what needs revision or what you didn't like or anything like that. You're not allowed to say you don't like me, you just got to send me wine. Okay, now we talked about the changes. Okay, so right now, one of the main changes which they are pushing for is a full navigation test route. So in other words, when you get in the car, the examiner puts the sat-nav in front of you, switches it on and says, please just follow the rules and regulations, what you see, traffic signs and signals. The sat-nav will navigate you around the route. From there on, he just now and then says, okay, just for this next place over there, pull up on the left, do this, do a parallel park, do the turn in the road, do the left reverse corner, you know, all those things are in the test. Yeah, I'm just checking if anyone's listening. But anyway, so he will then just intervene for your maneuvers, but mostly he will allow the sat-nav to do the navigating. And they've been trialing that in a number of test centers already. And we have had driving tests as well, where I've attended, where the examiner goes out on the driving test following routes, then pulls up, changes it, and goes back to the test center following routes. So those are already being trialed, and that is a change that you need to get used to. So guys, it isn't always practical for an instructor to do that, to do full sat-nav, but you must get a lot of sat-nav practice into your actual driving preparation. Okay, so don't not get driving thing. And actually, now that I think of it, we don't have a learning module on that. I will develop a learning module for satellite navigation on the thing. And then also we have access to test routes for, I think, just about every test center in the UK. So we could provide you with test routes as well. Okay, so that's for navigation on test route. They are persistently trying to do what they can. Look, the guys in the test centers are really working hard. Okay, don't think the examiners are not working. I covered 2 test centers this last weekend, and I saw them working Saturday and Sunday on both those test centers. So they are trying to get the things down. Okay, there's increased pressure on examiner capacity, and examiners generally, the circumstances under which they work and the actual amount of regulations they need to follow are really high and difficult to keep to. So don't be nasty to the examiners. They are just doing their work. Desire for higher quality, safer new drivers, there's always a dose for that. And nothing changes as far as that is concerned. And then the government is pushing for a new system. They've been developing this new system for about 2 years that I'm aware of, and it doesn't happen. Now, there needs to be, for you to get yourself ready, you really need to find a synergy between what you're learning and what you're actually studying. And the beauty about doing the academy and using the academy is you can go back to the academy and query which part you need to study. So if you're struggling with mini roundabouts and understanding how to approach and drive through mini roundabouts, you can go and study, say for instance, you need to go and study moving off and stopping. There is specific teaching just on signaling. I'll ask a very simple question. There's a really simple way. So let me just give you guys a quick question, see who can get this right. There is a really simple way to determine when you can actually signal. When should you start your signal? You're approaching a junction, you're driving down a road, it only has one turn off to the left, and you are going to take that turn off to the left. When do you decide you should put on your signal? How do you decide at what point you should put on your signal? You can tell me what is the clincher for knowing exactly when to put on your signal. Okay, so if you're doing 100 miles per hour and you're going to use that junction, are you also going to do it at 5 seconds? And Honda has said 30 meters before. Okay, so again, at what speed are you going to use 30 meters as your decision-making point? This is good, guys. This is really good. You are 5 seconds. The first one, the no signal is not a good answer. You're going to turn left. You need to signal. 5 seconds is in the right direction when you start slowing down. Exactly. When you think, okay, there's my junction, I need to start slowing down or gear down, I need to put on my signal to warn the cars what I'm about to do. It's when you start to change speed. That's a good time, because if you're doing 50 miles per hour, that distance is going to increase, and you'll determine it by the time you start your braking or you start slowing down, or you will use it if you're doing 5 miles per hour, it's going to be a much shorter distance. So having a distance is not a good idea, because that distance can be too slow. I mean, if it's 30 meters and you're doing 50 miles per hour, you are going to have slowed down a significant amount before you put on that signal. Okay, when you start to slow down, you should be mirroring and signaling and getting yourself ready and warning the car behind you. Really important, okay? This potential instructor input on test reading. Guys, you've got to do mock tests. It's about doing mock tests. Do the mock tests. Every junction should be a mock test. You should be aiming for perfection on every single junction you do. And you should be asking the instructor, did I stop at the right place? Did I position myself correctly? Can I position better? Did I creep across the center line for the right turn? That is, your instructor should be giving you that information. If it isn't, Tell him, stop playing on your phone and give me the information. Increased emphasis on real world safe behaviors. Yeah, interaction. But I mean, you're not going to pass your test as well. That's the important thing. You have to get it right, okay? Now, they're talking about excessive test cancellations may be flagged. They're already doing that, and I don't think it makes any difference at all. You just phone the DVSA and then they correct it anyway. I think they should leave the people and work purely on getting that stuff done, okay? Purely on getting driving tests and things up. Okay, so short notice swaps discouraged. Well, I don't see why, quite honestly, why? We have a lot of people who are not test ready. We had one yesterday, 2-3 yesterday, where people were getting to a point where they needed to make a decision whether they're going to do their tests or not, and their tests become available because they haven't done sufficient work. They say no, they'll be wasting their time going for the test, which is good. Rather cancel it and then allow us to find somebody else who can do the test. And it's always better for us to do it, because that way we fill the diary of the examiners. We make sure the examiners have actually got tests that they can take out, and they don't, that slot doesn't just go missing and then the person doesn't pitch. So they should encourage people to cancel the test if they're not ready for the test. It's much better to do that, guys. Don't go there and be pressurized to go and do a test if you're not ready for it, if you haven't prepared sufficiently for it. Improve fairness and reduce wasted slots. Well, I don't know how you improve fairness. Anyway, we'll just leave that. Okay, so now what I want to ask, so let's just review this. I'm just going to review this, and I would like your comments on this. I really would like to know what you guys think. Number one, the DVSA is going to stop instructors and who they call the other people from booking driving tests. We have a lot of high profile clients who come to us and ask us for tests, and we have a lot of clients who ask us for tests. But the reason, and we've been doing this since 2006, it's not new for us. We've been booking driving tests for our students since 2006. And that way we've managed to get their courses aligned with their driving tests, which means they have a greater chance of passing their tests. So they want to cancel that. And then they want to stop you or stop a student from having more than 2 changes. Well, what is the implication of that? Why do you not have the freedom to make changes? If you're not ready, you want to make changes. What's wrong with that? Why do you not have the freedom to make changes? It's an electronic process. There's nothing wrong with electronics. Electronics doesn't count. Oh my God, I'm going to freeze because this guy has booked these tests for more than twice. I just absolutely think it's ridiculous. Okay, and then they also want to put all sorts of restrictions on how you book your test. They've already got so many restrictions on how you book your test. How's that going to help? Okay, so now all these things do is they just make it more difficult for everybody to book tests. And now all of a sudden nobody can change their tests, and now there's a whole lot of tests that go to waste as well. I don't know, I can't understand it. I'm sorry, I think it's wrong. Anyway, so what do you guys think? I'm asking whether you agree with the changes the DVSA want to. Yeah, I don't want to learn how to book tests. I need to know that. I don't know why I have to book my own tests. Yeah, that's the sort of answers. Yeah. You agree that the bots should be taken away? It's an opinion. Well. Yeah, only driving instructors should be able to book tests and students. Yeah, that's true. Qualified driving instructors and students. I think we should give permission for driving instructors to book our tests. Yeah, that's a good point.
What were the reasons for making those changes?
Well, it's proposed changes. They haven't made the changes yet. They are going to Parliament to try and get those changes in. Why? Because they think they are going to alleviate the pressure in the driving test centres. Well, they won't. 640,000 students will still be looking for tests. So I can't see how that changes. The way they've got to change it is they've got to look at the restructuring the prices, that the internal prices that are paid for the actual tests. That might be a possible solution. Most people are saying exactly that. So you can decide whether you book your test yourself, or you can ask an instructor to book a test for you. And I think there should be a permission process. So in other words, the student gives permission that that instructor or that driving school can book a test for them. That should be the process. So the student can go online and then ticks, okay, this school can book a driving test for me. And they can resend that. I mean, it doesn't have to be like only that driving school can book for me. And they might not like the driving school afterward and need to resend it. I can understand that. That's fine. Okay, guys, let's move on. Thank you very much, everybody. So I'll read this out. This is a good one. Should be booked by instructor because he knows when it should be booked, which means when a learner is now able to do the test, that's when you should do the booking. That is correct. That's the way it should work. And that is the way it's been working forever. And instructors actually do use the system. My student is ready for a test and I'll book a test for the student. We never had the problem with bots. Okay, now you might say technology changed and now we've got a problem. That is possible. But if you've got such a massive backlog of tests, you are going to push up the price of the tests, even if the instructors are booking. The problem is the backlog is too big, and that's what gives value to the test. Now, the bot is a good thing. It's not a bad thing because it keeps the examiners busy and they don't waste test slots. But the other side of it is that all of that can be managed, and it can be managed effectively if it's structured correctly and fairly. The problem is that at the end of the day, we have always had problems with the DVSA booking system. This has been a reality for many, many years. So it needs an upgrade, and then it needs to have a structure that actually doesn't favor anybody, but there is a process in getting to the test. And the first solution, the first port of call, which will engage the instructors as well, is so that a student can go to any A grade instructor who's registered as a test gatekeeper, let's call him a test gatekeeper, and have him evaluate. And then the person, if he evaluates the person and says, yes, you're ready for the test, then he can go and book the test. So he signs off on him. Now that's a good way of doing it, because then you don't go and waste your time on a driving test you are not ready for. And there are lots of tests. I mean, if the failure rate is 60 to 70%, if you cut half of them out, you've got a 30% more tests. That brings down the whole cost structure around the tests for everybody, for the person who's taking the test, for the person who is failing the test, for everybody. It's just a much better system. So we need to have gatekeeper instructors. That's the solution. That is an instant solution. They can do it tomorrow. They can get it implemented within a week. It's not that difficult. It's really simple. They've got all the facilities to do it. It's not a difficult thing to do. Okay, let's move on, guys. Okay, the problem with the slots, the lack of ability to ensure you pass your test the first time, be ready and pass it the first time. Don't go there a second time. Take the stats on, and honestly, guys, I cannot tell you. I have asked hundreds of students. I have been doing video tutorials for students since 2000. I think I started it in about 2010, 2011. And the reason I did it was because it makes a difference on how much time I need to spend with my student in the car. And there is nothing nicer than when I say to a student, go and watch the webinar videos, go and understand the webinar videos. And then the next lesson they come and we're driving the roundabouts. Go and watch that specific video. And then the next time we get in the car, they've mastered it and they know what they're doing. And it makes my life so much easier because now we're on common ground. We can understand each other and they can evaluate. All they have to focus on is actually driving because they know what the rules are. It makes a big difference when you get to a test as well. How many times somebody comes to me, oh, I failed 6 driving tests, I'm going to die, how are we going to get through this? And I say, let's go for an evaluation. And then I find out they get completely lost on a roundabout. They have no idea what they're doing. Then I say to them, okay, now for the next lesson, go and study the roundabouts. Here's the video, go and study it. They come back, different person. Now they can relax they understand, there's no angst. The anxiousness is gone. Makes a big difference. Sorry. Okay. Expectation of sustained lesson progress. You've got to be working with your instructor all the time, guys. And you've got to be identifying, along with your instructor, what other material you need to study to get yourself test ready. Okay. Route adaptability, higher reliance on structured feedback. That's what I'm talking. This is all about your relationship with your instructor. Get feedback from your instructor. What did I do wrong? What were we working on today that didn't work? Go back and find the solution for studying that material, not in his car, because that costs you too much money. Study the material where you can get hold of it, and especially at the academy. Okay, all right. Okay, higher test demand entering the year. Yeah, this is all independent focus and all the rest of that. This is just teaching. Yeah, what they're doing now, and this is also, we haven't spoken about it, they are increasing driving on high-speed roads. So for instance, in the Borehamwood Test Centre, they are doing more of the A route driving as well on the highways and checking that people are capable of driving there. And they are starting to introduce that in places like Wanstead and Chingford on the 406. So they are putting high-speed driving into the actual tests as well. And that's also something they've been trialing, is they are thinking of moving test centres closer to places where there is high-speed driving. And you know that about 4 or 5 years ago, they changed the rules as well, that you can go on the motorway as long as you are under the guidance of a qualified instructor. You're not allowed to go on a motorway as a learner driver without having a qualified instructor take you onto a motorway. We're not talking an A route, we're talking a motorway, any M routes. The one thing I also wanted to mention here, which is important, is this difference between making a driver fault and a navigational fault. But I have discussed that at the beginning as well. But I really do want you guys to understand what is the difference between a driver fault and a navigational fault. Okay, obviously there is seasonal, there's more and more pressure. This is just about the pressure on the DVSA and all the rest of those things that are following at the moment.